Shalom, and welcome back to day 61 of reading the Bible in 52 weeks. Woo. Lord, thank you so much for today. Please grant me wisdom so I can focus on your word. Amen. Let's go. And today we'll be reading Joshua 10 through 12. Now King Adoni-Zedek of Jerusalem heard that Joshua had captured Ai and completely destroyed it, treating Ai as its king as he had Jericho and its king, and that the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were living among them. So Adoni-Zedek and his people were greatly alarmed because Gibeon was a large city like one of the royal cities. It was larger than Ai, and all its men were warriors. Therefore King Adoni-Zedek of Jerusalem sent word to King Hoham of Hebron, King Piram of Jarmuth, King Japhia of Lachish, and King Debiah of Elion, saying, "Come up and help me. We will attack Gibeon, because they have made peace with Joshua and the Israelites." So the 5 Amori kings, the king of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, joined forces, advanced with all their armies, beside Gibeon, and fought against it. Then the man of Gibeon sent word of Joshua in the camp of Gilgal, "Don't give up on your servants. Come quickly and save us. Help us, for all the Amorite kings living in the hill country have joined forces against us." So Joshua and all his troops, including all his best soldiers, came to Gilgal. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, for I have handed them over to you. Not one of them will be able to stand against you." So Joshua caught them by surprise after marching all night from Gilgal. The Lord threw them into the confusion before Israel. He defeated them in great slaughter of Gibeon, chased them through the extent of Beth Horon, and struck them down as far as Azekah and Makkedah, and they fled before Israel. The Lord threw large hailstones on them from the sky among the descent of Beth Horon all the way to Azekah, and they died. More of them died from the hail than from the Israelites killed with the sword. On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israelites, Joshua spoke to the Lord in the presence of Israel. "Sun, stand over your Gibeon, and moon over the valley of Ajalon." And the sun stood still, and the moon stopped until the nation took vengeance on its enemies. Isn't this written in the book of Joshua? The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed its setting almost a full day. There has been no day like it before or since, when the Lord listened to a man, because the Lord fought of Israel. Then Joshua and all Israel with him returned to the camp of Gilgal. Now the 5 defeated kings had fled and hidden in the cave at Makkedah. It was reported to Joshua, "The 5 kings have been found. They are hiding in a cave at Makkedah." Joshua said, "Roll large stones against the mouth of the cave and station men by it to guard the kings. But as for the rest of you, don't stay there. Pursue your enemies and attack them from behind. Don't let them enter their cities, for the Lord your God has handed them over to you." So Joshua and the Israelites finished inflicting a terrible slaughter on them until they were destroyed. Although a few survivors ran away to the fortified cities, the people returned safely to Joshua in the camp of Makkedah, and no one dared to threaten the Israelites. Then Joshua said, "Open the mouth of the cave and bring those 5 kings to me out of there." That is what they did. They brought the 5 kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon to Joshua out of the cave. When they had brought the kings to him, Joshua summoned all the men of Israel and said to the military commanders who had accompanied him, "Come here and put your feet on the necks of these kings." So the commanders came forward and put their feet on their necks. Joshua said to them, "Do not be afraid or discouraged. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord will do this to all the enemies you fight." After this, Joshua struck them down and executed them. He hung their bodies on 5 trees, and they were there until evening. At sunset, Joshua commanded that they be taken down from the trees and thrown into the cave where they were hidden. Then large stones were placed against the mouth of the cave, and those stones are still there today. On that day, Joshua captured Makkedah and struck it down with the sword, including its king. He completely destroyed it and everyone in it, leaving no survivors. So he treated the king of Makkedah, and he had the king of Jericho. Joshua and all of Israel with him crossed from Makkedah to Libnah and fought against Libnah. The Lord also handed it to its king over to Israel. He struck it down, putting everyone in it in the sword, and left no survivors in it. He treated Libnah's king as he had the king of Jericho. From Libnah, Joshua and all of Israel with him crossed to Lachish. They laid siege to it and attacked it. The Lord handed Lachish over to Israel, and Joshua captured it on the second day. He struck it down, putting everyone in it to the sword, just as he'd done to Libnah. At the time, King Hormam of Gizgar went down to help Lachish, but Joshua struck him down along with his people, leaving no survivors. Then Joshua crossed from Lachish to Eglon, and all Israel with him. They laid siege to it and attacked it. On that day they captured it and struck it down, putting everyone in it to the sword. He completely destroyed it that day, just as he had done to Lachish. Next, Joshua and all Israel with him went up from Eglon to Hebron to attack it. They captured it and struck down its king, all its villages, and everyone in it with the sword. He left no survivors, just as he had done as Eglon. He completely destroyed Hebron and everyone in it. Finally, Joshua turned toward Debron and attacked it, and all Israel was with him. He captured it, its king, and all its villages. They struck them down with the sword and completely destroyed everyone in it, leaving no survivors. He treated Deborah and its king as he had treated Hebron, and he had treated Lebanon and its king. So Joshua conquered the whole region, the hill country, the Negev, the Judean foothills, and the slopes with all their kings, leaving no survivors. He completely destroyed every living being, as the Lord the God of Israel had commanded. Joshua conquered everyone from Kadesh, Barneth, Gaza, and all the land of Gashgan as far as Gibeon. Joshua captured all these kings and their land in one campaign, because the Lord the God of Israel fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned with all the Israel to camp at Gilgal. When King Jabin of Hazor heard this news, he sent a message to King Jabab of Madam, the kings of Shimron, Ashraf, and the kings of the north of the hill country, the Aparah south of Shinnereth, and the Judean foothills, and the slopes of Dor to the west, the Canaanites in the east and west, Amorites, Hethites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the hill country, the Hivites at the foot of Himron, in the land of Mizpah. They went out with their armies, and multiplied as numerous as the sand in the seashore, along with vast number of horses and chariots. All these kings joined forces. They came and camped together at the waters of Mermam to attack Israel. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, for at this time tomorrow I will cause all of them to be killed before Israel. You are to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots." So Joshua and all his troops surprised them in the waters of Merom and attacked them. The Lord handed them over to Israel, and they struck them down, pursuing them as far as the greater Sinan and Misrath-Mam, and to the east as far as the valley of Mizpah. They struck them down, leaving no survivors. Joshua treated them as the Lord had told them. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots. At the time Joshua turned back, captured Hazor, and struck down its king with the sword, because Hazor had formerly been the leader of all these kingdoms. They struck down everyone in it with the sword, completely destroying them. He left no one alive. Then he burned Hazor. Joshua captured all these kings and their cities and struck them down with the sword. He completely destroyed them, as Moses the Lord's servant had commanded. However, Israel did not burn any of the cities that stood on their mounds except Hazor, which Joshua burned. The Israelites plundered all the spoils and the cattle of these cities of themselves, but they struck down every person with the sword until they had annihilated them, leaving no one alive, just as the Lord had commanded his servant Moses. Moses commanded Joshua. This is what Joshua did, leaving nothing undone of all the Lord had commanded Moses. So Joshua took all this land, the hill country, all of Negev, all the land of Joshan, the foothills, the Abarab, and the hill country of Israel with the foothills, from Mount Halak, which ascends to Seir, as far as Bagad, and the valley of Lebanon at the foot of Mount Hermon. He captured all their kings and struck them down, putting them to death. Joshua waged war with all these kings for a long time. No city made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites who inhabited Gibeon, and all of them were taken in battle. For it was the Lord's intention to harden their hearts, so that they would engage Israel in battle, be completely destroyed without mercy, and be annihilated, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. At the time Joshua proceeded to exterminate the Anakim from the hill country, Hebron, Deborah, Adab, in the hill country of Judah and the Israel. Joshua completely destroyed them with their cities. No Anakim were left in the land of the Israelites except for something remaining in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. So Joshua took the entire land in keeping with all that the Lord had told Moses. Joshua then gave it an inheritance in Israel according to their tribal elements. After this, the land had rest from war. The Israelites struck down the following kings of the land and took possession of their land beyond the Jordan to the east from the Abron River to Mount Hermon, including all the Abra eastward. King Shihon of the Amorites lived in Heshbon. He ruled over Aror in the rim of the Arnon River, along the middle of the valley, and half the Gilead up the Jabbok River. The Abrad east of the Sea of Shinnereth to the Sea of Arba, that is the Dead Sea, eastward through Beth Jimimoth and southward below the slopes of Pisgah. King Og of Bashan and the remnant of the Rephaim lived in Asheroth of Edrei. He ruled over Mount Hermon, Salikah, and Baskan up to the Jetherite of Masharite border, and half of Gilead to the border of King Sihon of Heshbon. Moses the Lord's servants and the Israelites struck them down, and Moses the Lord's servant gave their land as an inheritance, the Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh. Joshua and the Israelites struck down the following kings of the land beyond the Jordan in the west, from Baal-Gad, the valley of Lebanon, to Mount Halak, which ascends toward Sur. Joshua gave their land as inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their allotments, the hill country, the Judean foothills of Abra, the slopes of the wilderness, and the Negev, the lands of Hetherites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, the king of Jericho, the king of Ai, which is next to Bethlehem, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Jazar, the king of Debron, the king of Jeder, the king of Hormah, the king of Arad, the king of Libnat, the king of Adullam, the king of Maacah, the king of Bethel, the king of Tappuah, the king of Hepher, the king of Apak, the king of Lasharon, the king of Madon, the king of Hazar, the king of Shimron Memron, the king of Ashaphat, the king of Tanakok, the king of Megiddo, the king of Kadesh, the king of Jashrim and Carmel, the king of Dor of Nether-Ador, the king of Gom of Gilead, the king of Tisra. The total number of all kings, 31. Okay, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow for day 62. May you have a blessed day.